West Ham faced off against Chelsea
I saw.
today. Look, I'll put it to you straight. Chelsea lost 3-1 in this game.
Yeah.
And I think behind the scenes, you haven't revealed it in front of camera. Maybe we'll see if you follow up with it here. But you told me that you were going to be a Chelsea fan this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Just in a very similar way that I was a Man United fan last
Right.
year. It's very loose. It means nothing. And I'm here to have fun and enjoy the ride. If that means finishing in the top 4, sure. If it means finishing in 15th place, also sure. It's not out of admiration that I'm supporting the club this year. It is simply out of what the hell are they going to do this year? That's why I have my eyes on them more so than any other club, because the amount of money that they have spent in the last 3-4 years, astronomical numbers. And I just want to see what they do. And if that's crash and burn or go all the way to the top, I just want to see it happen with my own eyes. So yeah, in that sense, I will be a Chelsea supporter. Sure, this year.
Careful with that term, bro. Careful with that term.
It's interesting because I am supporting them by watching their games, but I'm not like, let's fucking go Chelsea. I think there's a difference there. I don't know what I am then.
Yeah. We'll have a hybrid, bro. We'll have to think of a hybrid title
There's a
here.
word that we need to create. I'm interested in what they're doing, but not out of love.
Well, they're starting off on a terribly bad foot, bro. Terribly, man. They're en route for a crash and burn journey here because they lose 3-1 away from home against West Ham. The only reason I was interested in this Chelsea game is because of my Liverpool bias. And if you don't remember, Liverpool was wronged, betrayed, and bamboozled just recently by Ecuadorian Moises Caicedo. And what he did to us by showing us one face, but then turning around and showing us the other, bro. A very devilish move he did in the transfer window, choosing to go to Chelsea for a record-breaking 115 million euros. He had an absolute disastrous debut. Top 5 worst debuts I've ever seen in my goddamn life, because here are the numbers, bro. 37 minutes played, 8 losses of possession, 2 fouls, 1 shot off target, 1 error leading to a shot opportunity, and lastly, 1 penalty conceded in which Paquetá eventually made the game 3-1. Caicedo was awful, bro. He was awful, and I could not stop smiling throughout this entire fucking performance, man. An abysmal game that I saw from him, an abysmal start to his Chelsea tenure. I'm not saying he's going to end up being bad because that's very unlikely, man. He's probably going to be very, very good for this squad, but from an outside perspective, it's very nice to see a Chelsea team that has spent every cent available to them end up still finding ways to underwhelm in the league and unable to buy themselves 3 points.
I hate it, dude. I hate what Chelsea are doing in these last 4 transfer windows because it doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem fair. They are expanding this football bubble that is visible from space, bro. Shit's about to pop, and Chelsea's a big reason for it, bro. Every single, like you said, they brought 3 players over $100 million. What does that even mean anymore? It obviously doesn't mean points, because they weren't able to turn it around last year. And this year, it looks like there's still a lot of work left to be done. But I think it's why we both in our predictions didn't really have Chelsea up there, not in the top 4 at least. So I think this is the reality. Chelsea have a lot of quality, but is any of it planned? Is any of it thought out from a strategy perspective? Pochettino has an incredible task to make it work, but it really is just, how much does this player cost?
Yeah.
How hot he is on the market? Oh, he's hot, then we're buying him.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
I hate that, man.
And I hate it. And looking at the player perspective, truly, I don't even know why you would come here, because if you don't put on a stellar performance for the entire season, you will be labeled as a bust. You will, just because of the sheer numbers that you cost. So why would you do that? If you could just go to Liverpool, be a part of a very specific project, and have leeway to actually fail a little bit, I don't understand it. And I think that just really tells you the power of money in today's society, because that is the only reason why people are going to Chelsea, because they're getting that fat stack
Yeah, I think someone commented about how happy Chukwuemeka was to score his lone goal for Chelsea today. They're like, what a special moment for the lad, 19 years old, scoring his goal. And someone commented, like, of course he's going to be happy. He has 10 other $30 million expense signings competing for that same fucking position. The man needs to score, otherwise he's going to be sent to the fucking youth squad, dude. Yeah. It's crazy how much depth they have and how misaligned all of it is, dude, because I don't have a problem with spending big personally. I really don't mind that. I know a lot of people talk about oil money and talk about where the funds come from. Yeah. I ultimately don't have a problem with that. I have a problem if you're being wasteful with that money, man. Like a Man City team or even a Liverpool team that's been so effective about where they put their money, buying players that end up panning out, buying players that are worth that price tag and provide that level of performance week in, week out. With Chelsea, I don't see that, man. I see players that have been hyped up to a crazy degree that suddenly have price tags over 80 million euros. They get bought because of that hype and then end up underwhelming. And I think we're going to see a lot of examples of that this upcoming season. Yes, they're going to win games. Yes, they're going to have really good moments. But all in all, my prediction for Chelsea, I think, was like seventh or eighth place. And that's exactly where I see them ending, because I think a lot of what works against them is this method that they've had in the transfer window and how they go about buying players.
Let's go to Spain, man.
Okay.
Let's go to Spain and let's stay there for a little bit.
Oh, shit.
Let's stay there for a while.
Okay.
And I want to start off with Atletico Madrid.
Yes.
My one and only true love in this
waiting,
world. Bro. And, you know, off screen, we've talked about them just very briefly. And I think you kind of got onto the energy that I had that, you know, it's not the most positive energy toward this club now, right? You kind of felt that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure that's clear. We played the day against Real Betis in Sevilla, and nothing happened. Mm-mm. For 90 whole minutes, nothing happened. No. But I'm not surprised. And I'll get into that in a second. But just to finish up what any analysis could be done about this game, it was hot. Neither Betis or Atletico looked like they wanted to win it. I think at the end of the day, either side was very happy with a point because neither side risked anything else. So, yeah, it was a very boring game. Neither side could unlock the defense of their opponents. And there's like no shots on goal, no moments of creativity. It was a very slow moving game. For Betis, it's interesting because, you know, you secure the signing of Jose Perez from Leicester City. You also get Isco. You get Isco back into the club scheme in Spain. And honestly, I think that's a very good signing. It's very positive for a team like Betis. A team who's trying to do a lot, a team who's trying to gain consistency. And I think they've shown that by keeping Pellegrini as the coach for over more than just one and a half seasons. And also, they've been able to keep a lot of the core of their players. But I think ultimately Betis are just missing maybe like a really creative midfielder, someone who can just break the line and feed Borja Iglesias or feed Jose Perez. They're really missing that crafty player. I think Isco can do it, but his age doesn't really help. And against a very good team like Atletico, I think Betis are going to definitely struggle. So I think that's frustrating because I was hoping Betis could build off of last season, but I think realistically they're probably just going to be the exact same. Classic. Yeah. Betis doing Betis things. Now let's finally go to Atletico, bro. We have the oldest starting 11 that we've ever had in the last 20 years.
No, bro.
Dude, our average age is over 30 years old.
No way, bro.
Isn't that crazy?
No way.
So that means on average, if you just picked a player on the starting 11, there's a high chance that they're past their prime technically. Because if you consider prime to be between 24 and 29, 30, right? So that's crazy.
Wow.
Right. So we have a very old team, but what's crazy is that doesn't even bother me when it comes to Atletico. What we're genuinely missing is fresh, young blood. That's what we're missing. We bring in a guy like Cesar Azpilicueta. That's new blood, but it's not young blood, bro. He's going to come in here. He's back in Spain. Good for him. And he's going to clock in and he's going to clock out. Mm-hmm. He's going to put in some incredibly good shifts. And I trust him with my life because he's had incredible experiences throughout his entire career, you know, for example, at Chelsea, winning Champions Leagues, etc. So I think he's a good addition to our back line. He's already come in. He started 2 games in a row. He's going to be our starting, whether it's hybrid fullback or center back, that's what he's going to do. But to change the narrative in La Liga, to go for the title, to beat Madrid, to beat Barcelona, we need something different. We need something new. We need something that can change the landscape of this Atleti side, and we don't have that. You know, if you look at our front four, it's Alvaro Morata, a solid striker. He's not great. He's solid. You have Thomas Lemar, who's, once again, very good, but he's already proven since he's been here for like over 3 years, he's proven that he's never going to be great. So, okay, great. We have a good, solid player in Thomas Lemar. We have Antoine Griezmann, who, yes, he's a little bit aged, but with the right players around him, he can still be one of the most creative pieces in all of offensive football. So I don't have any problem with Griezmann, right? I have no problem. But outside of that, man, it's the same story as Lemar and Morata. You know, Koke just got injured, but he was going to be our starting midfielder. Marcos Llorente, he's still like our biggest point of attack on the wings, alongside a very old, or an aging Yannick Ferreira Carrasco. Dude, these are the same players that have been here for 5-6 years.
I saw Carrasco's 29.
Right.
But he feels old, though.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Is that all of... Exactly.
It's like the same thing with him. I think it's what it is. There's no new ideas with him. You know what you're going to get, and that's kind of disappointing.
It's disappointing because to beat Madrid, to beat Barcelona, we just need one player that can just change that for us. But we don't have it, bro. We don't. We got Samuelino, who was on loan to Valencia last year.
Who that was?
Yeah, he comes on for us. We bought him last year, but we immediately sent him on loan. He had a good season at Valencia, but he's not a game changer. He's a solid player, just like Lemar.
Shit,
man. Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, we are set up once again to finish in third place, is what I'm saying, because we don't have anything new in our offense to actually change the narrative of beating Barcelona and Madrid. We don't have a bad squad. I'm not saying that. No. And if it sounds really negative, I'm just saying negative from a point of I'm trying to win a title over here. Aspiration, absolutely. So it gets really, really frustrating when I look at this Atleti side, and it's just yet another year where just like, okay, we're going to be better than 90% of La Liga sides, but we're not going to be better than Madrid or Barcelona. We're just not.
Well, is that... I do wonder from an Atleti perspective. I remember one time we talked about if Simeone should get fired, and you said no, as long as we essentially continue to get ourselves in top four, he deserves to be here. Is there, I guess, any sort of positivity that comes from finishing top four consistently for you? Or should it always be to aim for a title because of the talent that you do have and the money that you know that you can spend? Where do Atleti fans stand on that? Like, is it a club that's okay finishing in third and seeing an achievement in that? Or is it a club that thinks they deserve a lot more?
Shit. So the way that I see it is the team that we have right now, the 11, including all of the bench players that can be in rotation, the way that I see it is... third place should be expected, but I'm not expecting anything else. Why I'm frustrated is because I think we're only missing one or two other players. And if we had those players, we could go for the title. And an example is if Joao Felix had turned out to be the player that we thought he would have been, we would have won last year and we would win this year too. We're that close to having a complete squad. Because Felix was supposed to be like the next Griezmann, for example, as far as goal-scoring output, right? If you see the way that he's played over the last 3 seasons, you'll see that, you know, the kid doesn't score more than 6 goals.
Yeah.
So he's essentially non-effective.
James Bond, 007.
And nothing
7
more.
goals a year.
Exactly.
Spoiled brat.
But we paid over 100 million. We paid over 100 million for a player like that.
Bro.
120. Exactly. But if he had worked out and scored 20 goals a season, then we would have the best playmaker in La Liga with Antoine Griezmann. We would have then had the best winger / forward in Joao Felix. And then we would have had a very good Alvaro Morata to pair with him, and then a very solid Thomas Lemar to pair with him. And I trust our backline. You know, Savic is good. We now have a Cesar Azpilicueta, and we still have Jan Oblak between the sticks. That's a good backline. All we're missing is true creativity / genuine 20-goal output in our offense. We don't have it, bro. We just don't even have it close. Morata is going to do the best that he can, but Depay, Griezmann, Lemar, they're not going to score that much for us. It's not in their DNA at this point. So we're very close to having a very complete team. That's why I'm a little frustrated, because all it takes is getting the right pieces, getting the right players. But I'll be honest, I don't know if Atletico's looking at that right now as a club. As an organization, I don't know if we're looking at the next big piece to go for a title. I genuinely think that as a club, we're just trying to stay in the Champions League.
I think so.
I think that's it.
Bro, look at the signings they made. Even like a guy like Suyunchu. It's
all defensive.
It's like
all
defensive where it's like safe signings and Aspilicueta. I didn't see a single signing this offseason that like got me off my seat.
Exactly.
I wonder what's going to come from this Joao Felix situation. If he gets sold, do they do anything with that money?
Right.
What does selling him even look like? Him leaving the club? I wonder if they... I don't know. I wonder how they'll go. I wonder how Atleti will approach life post Joao Felix, given that he was the most expensive signing in club history.
Yeah, all I'm hoping for is that we invest that money, but knowing Atletico, the way we do things, we invest it slowly, right? Mm-hmm. So I do think that we'll get players, but it's just not going to be quick. It's going to be
like 2 years from now, I can see y'all making a big move for someone.
Right. We'll get like maybe a player or two that'll be solid next year, and then maybe the next offseason we'll look to get like a big signing. Mm-hmm. We move slowly in Atletico, at least in that part of Madrid. It's just the reality of things. But yeah, I mean, all the signings that have worked out for us have been purely defensive. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about a player like Axel Witsel, for example. Like, he's been a good signing for us. He's not that old either. He's getting there now, but he's purely defensive, right? Atletico's not looking to risk any more money on a very offensive player because I think we're scarred by Felix. I think signing Felix and the way it turned out has genuinely scared us from trying to do a similar thing.
Yeah, it was so uncharacteristic, honestly, for y'all to like put that money in like that.
Super uncharacteristic.
And then to have it backfire like that is it can traumatize you financially, man. It can really do that. I wonder who do you see being your player of this season then? Who do you see being the best player of the team so far? Something a little optimistic, something fun to look at from an Atleti perspective. Your prediction as to who's going to have the best season for them this year?
I think probably breakout, and he already kind of flirted with it by getting minutes last season at the end of it. Pablo Barrios. New midfielder kid who's supposed to be, basically the heir to that Coque Saul type of midfielder play that Simeone likes to employ. He's been fantastic, I'd say, in these first two matches already. He came off the bench for Coque when he got injured. He started in this last match against Betis. He's got a good amount of energy. He's explosive in moments, so he can get involved offensively. But he's also just really smart on the ball. He's not much of a risk taker, which I do enjoy. But at the same time, he's not that impact player that I'm still requiring, right? I'm looking for someone that can, get in there on a, 5 to 10 minute basis every single game. Barrios is very much like a Coque. He's very much like a prime Saul in the sense that his main priority is to get the ball in the middle of the pitch and just, move it side to side, and then in moments get involved offensively. But so he's not going to change the landscape for Atleti, but I do think he's going to have a very good season and basically cement himself to be a starting central midfielder for the next 5 years. So that's a good thing to have.
Did you see that they mic up the coaches now, during water breaks?
Yeah.
You see that shit? Diego Simeone, hearing him talk?
Yeah. So it's really interesting now. For the hydration breaks, they have a guy with a boom mic.
Yeah.
And he goes over the huddle. Really like it.
I like it, dude.
I really like it. But Madrid denied.
I saw that, man. They felt that it conflicted with the traditions of their footballing history and decided not to take part in it. But from an Atleti perspective, I like that I got to hear that insight. I did wonder though, what can an opposing team can they be watching the broadcast and then just gain that insight, bro? Because he's being pretty transparent what he wanted from his players and the approach to have. So from a fan perspective, it's really nice, but from a tactical, strategic perspective, I wonder how that gets approached.
Dude, I really do wonder. But for me, it's more so just interesting to watch. I think it was last week when Atletico were playing Granada, and Granada's coach, Paco Jimenez, I forget his last name. Dude, he had such an open conversation with his players that you just don't see. He was asking his midfielders, he's like, what problems do you guys see?
Whoa.
I was like, holy shit, this is so cool. He was like, what do you guys see? And the midfielder was like, honestly, nothing. I think we're doing a good job. And he was like, okay, good. So then what's the problem? He was asking them to almost like a coach trying to get these players to be coaches one day themselves.
Yes.
It was so cool to see. And then once the defender started talking, he was like, yes. He's like, the defense needs to help with our midfielders more.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, dude, what a cool way to coach and what a cool insight to have as a fan.
Yeah, I do feel that La Liga, in comparison to the Premier League, has always been a little bit more ambitious with things like that, man. I mean, the Give and Go experience, the La Liga experience, right? A program created for creators to come and see what it's like to experience a La Liga game, creators from all around the world. But even like the type of like shots that the La Liga gets, the cameras that they use, the graphics that they utilize as well, the augmented reality that they implement in matches. I've always seen La Liga as a little bit more ambitious when it comes to like the production of how they display the league versus Premier League, which is always like, it's always been the same thing and it's very good, but they don't change a single freaking thing about it, bro. And I could never see them doing the like transparent coaching interviews like how La Liga does right now too.
To close with Atletico though, just to make my feelings cemented on the pod, I think we'll finish third. I just don't think we're going to go for the title this year. I think we'll have a good season, but nothing great, nothing special. But now I want to go to Barcelona. Barcelona, who played today against
Cadiz.
Thank you. Who played today technically at home, although the Camp Nou is actually under construction, so they were in like a different facility. But they're playing against Cadiz. And, bro, Barca are struggling to create chances, man.
Wow.
Truly.
Wow. Like,
truly struggling. Lewandowski, I don't even know if he's had a shot on goal.
I've heard terrible things about
both games, and he's played 90 full minutes in both. But just in general, Gavi, Pedri, Gundogan, for example, they're getting on the ball a lot, but they're super ineffective with all of their moves. Whether it's a through ball, trying to dribble penetration, yes, they'll get what they want, but once it gets tight in that box, they run out of ideas. And not only that, they're running out of ways to actually just get past their opponent and even just try to be threatening. Like, for the most part, both Getafe and Cadiz, while they have employed a very defensive structure to face Barcelona, they're stopping them. There's some really good last-ditch defending. In this game specifically, though, our boy Conan Ledesma had 2 impeccable saves. One of the best keepers in all of La Liga, in one of my humble opinions.
Yeah, he's good, bro.
He's so good. Just signed a new contract for Cadiz, extending it out to 2026. So it'll be good to see him. Hopefully they get relegated so he can go to a better team. That's what I'm hoping for, bro. No offense to Cadiz, but I think Ledesma needs to go to just a better team overall, because I think he'd have some crazy highlights. And
it's like a Pickford, bro.
He's
in a relegation level team, but playing at a really good level.
Absolutely. And he has just like this energy about him that, like, truly, I think no matter what club he'd go to, I think the fans would get behind him immediately.
Yeah,
like,
he's very likable.
He's so likable. Yep. And he put on an impeccable performance today against Barcelona.
Then how they lose, bro?
A beautiful through ball from Gundogan.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Which makes sense if you think about it. Perfect little slip pass, just the right amount of weight on it. And Pedri comes crashing with a nice, beautiful diagonal run, slides into it, and it goes past Ledesma. It was a beautiful finish, honestly. Okay. A perfect play. But, dude, my point still stands. Barcelona really struggled offensively today, and they had like 85% of possession. But here's the thing. This is essentially what happened last year.
Bro, that's how they won the title. 1-0, like for 40 games straight.
Exactly. And the tactics work so well in today's La Liga, because here's essentially what Xavi's Barcelona do. They keep the ball. They keep the ball 90% of the time. So even if Barcelona's not scoring, their opponent ain't either, because they don't even have the ball to do so.
Yeah.
So it's going to be 0-0 for the longest time. And on the 30th attempt, Barcelona is going to get at least one. As you just said, how many 1-0s did they get last year is going to be the exact same thing this year if they don't change anything, bro. But the thing is, I don't think they do. Because as I said last year too, I think most of La Liga is going through an offensive drought right now. And
even Real Madrid, dude.
Yeah, even Real Madrid. Too. And I just talked about Atleti. Our biggest weakness is our offense. And for Cadiz especially, bro, because, dude, they had 2 one-on-one opportunities with Ter Stegen, 2, and both of them were fluffed.
Yeah,
especially the first one with Roger going right up against Ter Stegen, ends up trying to chip it over him, but I was like, oh, dude, not the right move. Like, terrible decision, terrible control. Should have gone up 1-0 in that moment. And then there's another moment later on in the game where Cadiz had another glorious opportunity to take advantage, and they would have gone up 1-0 as well. Didn't do anything with it. Nothing with it. And it goes back to my first point, man. Like, what are they doing offensively in La Liga?
There's got to be one team, though. There's got to be one team. We got to find it,
I'm
man.
waiting for
the
it.
Give and Go's got to find that
I'm
team,
waiting
bro,
for it,
because there's got to be one team that has some sort of fluidity offensively. But you're right. The rest of it is abysmal. It's a dry land of goals, dude. And even translates to the top teams. I've been saying it with Barcelona, Atletico, and Real Madrid. Even Madrid, missing Benzema now, the way that we've seen them go about scoring their goals, although they have won both their games, it's a general sign of how much La Liga has slowed down in the offensive department, man. There's barely any people employed right now in that department, bro. It's an empty fucking staff, man.
Empty. So, yeah, to finish, man, I think Barcelona have a very good chance of defending their title, but it's for those reasons. It's not going to be that Barcelona's electric offensively. It's going to be because their midfield is probably the best midfield in the league. Maybe Madrid can rival it because of Bellingham. But other than that, they're going to dominate possession because of their midfield. De Jong, Pedri, and Gavi are fantastic. And they'll have a good chance because the rest of their opponents just aren't good offensively, bro. Just not good. But, let's extend it a little bit. I think they're not going to do anything in the Champions League. It's going to be the same thing, bro. I think they'll be good in Spain, but only in Spain.
Yeah,
they're going to have to change a lot to be truly threatening against the giants in Italy, Germany, and England.
What are your thoughts on Yamal? Yeah.
Yeah. What, he's like 16?
16 years old.
Yeah.
Sounds like he counters the ideas that you've been presenting offensively. Very happy, very eager to penetrate the wings, very happy-go-lucky type of attitude. He's got a little bit of that youngster magic to him right now. Mm-hmm. He's shown some promise in preseason games, and I saw a little bit of highlights in this game. He had some a couple successful dribbles in the box. What do you think overall? Is this kid enough to do something for this Barcelona side to reignite them offensively?
Oh, I think Yamal's fantastic, man. Him and Balde, the left back for Barcelona, I thought were outstanding today, actually, against Cadiz. They were the two bright spots specifically. But here's my problem with both of those players, of Yamal and Balde, let's just say. As you just said, excellent off the dribble, so eager to penetrate. But I see them both as very similar to Vinny Jr. in his first year at Madrid. So talented, so penetrative, but not efficient, right? I think Yamal's going to have a big learning curve this year and maybe even the next year to figure out himself and how to use his talents to be efficient. I think he's going to have some crazy highlights this season. Yeah. I think he's going to take players one-on-one, and he's going to get past them the majority of the time. But I think when it comes to that final ball or that final finish, I think he's going to be lacking. And that's not even a criticism. It's just he's so good, but he's so young, bro. I think all it's going to take is time for Yamal to be truly effective. But it goes back to my first point. I think Barcelona are still missing something like that, right? They have talent, but they don't have effectiveness. And I think a player like Yamal literally cements that notion.
Yeah, I think in the Champions League, we're going to see it be exposed, I think, a lot. I do agree with you on that point. I do see them having a very similar experience, getting knocked out, potentially going to Europa League. If they do make it out of their group stage, then I think it's a different Barcelona side that we'll see, because I do think that if they can make it out, if they can kind of get past those demons that they've been going through these past few years, not really thriving on the European stage, then maybe we'll see a Barcelona team that is able to step up and compete with these top teams. But for now, what I've heard about Barcelona, what I've seen, the players that they have signed, I'm just not that impressed, bro. I'm not that impressed ultimately. Even with a guy like Gundogan, who I really do love, I don't think he's enough to push them over the edge in Europe against these top teams.
I think everything European-wise for Barcelona rides on the group stage they get put into. If they get another tough group where it's like Inter and Bayern, they're done. They're not going to get through it. But if they get like a favorable one, then I think they could have the talent to get through. And at that point, in a round of 16 stage, maybe Barcelona do something good. But if they're playing against like a Bayern or a City, I think they'll be done. But
yeah, the top teams, I don't see it.
I just don't see it.
I don't see it for them.
I don't see it. But then to finish our stay in Spain, bro, Madrid, let's just go ahead and continue to talk about the big teams in Spain. They played against Almeria in what ended up being a really entertaining match, end-to-end at times, with Almeria just going at Madrid, getting an early goal with a beautiful in-stride header from Robertone, the Argentine. And Almeria looked so good in that moment. Yeah. And even after that, they got really unlucky to get equalized by Jude Bellingham in what was Weird call.
Very weird goal overall, though.
Yeah, the whole ricochet with Bellingham and the defender, but he takes advantage. He improvises very well. It's 1-1. And then, honestly, after that point, I thought Almeria did well to at least give everything that they could against Madrid. But for the most part, I think Madrid settled the game down in their own way, took advantage of Almeria in their moments, and looked very, very good. They got a nice 3-1 win, even though it was tricky at moments. But I think that's the type of trajectory that Madrid are on this entire season. I think they're going to be a little inconsistent, but the talent that they have, I think is going to be is going to be enough to rival Barca. To go for the title.
In the league, yeah.
In the league, 100%.
I get worried, bro, because I looked at Bellingham's stats after 2 games, bro. He's had 2 man-of-the-match performances, and he has 3 goals and an assist in 2 fucking matches. And for as happy as I am about him, you know how much I love Jude Bellingham. This pod knows how much I love this guy.
Right.
My favorite youngster in world football right now.
Yeah.
For as much as I love the guy, I almost feel like Real Madrid needs him to play like that to be successful, bro.
Like
yes. They're like, yes, he's playing at a stellar level, but if he doesn't do that, I don't know how effective they'd be offensively and in winning these matches, because that game did get very tight, and it was Jude Bellingham who scored the second goal, I believe, to cut the tie and give them the lead. And likewise in that first game, I think he scored the first goal against Athletic Bilbao.
He did.
Yeah, he was the first one to score against Athletic Bilbao as well. He's so important for this team, and they've got an absolute gem in him, but I've been saying this already since before the season started. Mm-hmm. I'm concerned about Real Madrid and their offensive capabilities, missing a guy like Benzema and putting a lot of responsibility on 2 incredibly effective wingers. Can wingers carry this team to a La Liga title? I wonder, because systematically, formation-wise, strategy-wise, I don't think I ever really seen something like this succeed at this level. But if Real Madrid can pull it off with the talent that they do have at hand, it'd be very impressive. I just think Jude Bellingham is going to have to play out of his mind on a regular basis, which he can do, to give this team titles this year.
Yeah, dude, I completely agree. What's interesting about this is that Ancelotti has set up Jude Bellingham to be very offensive in the squad. And I love that because at Dortmund, I think Bellingham at his best was incredibly offensive. Truly. And he was actually a little bit more deep lying in Borussia Dortmund, but he has the talent to do so. He's so good on the ball. But already in these first 2 matches with Madrid, Bellingham is up, bro. He is up there. When Madrid have offensive possession, Bellingham's pretty much in the box.
He's pretty much a 9 at
He's
points,
a 9.
bro.
Yeah, he really is.
He's got the build for it.
Yeah, he does. He's got that tall, lanky stature, man. But I think Ancelotti has realized that. He's like, look, I don't have a number 9, so I need Bellingham to be a hybrid midfielder 9. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing. But why I think it will work only in the domestic league, though, is I think Bellingham's up for it. If he wasn't up for it and he's like, shit, I'm not that comfortable up here, I think it would only work in spurts like we're seeing it. But I actually do see Bellingham like having a fucking crazy season.
Yeah.
I think he can actually keep this going. Maybe not like a goal a game like he's doing, but he may be, bro.
Maybe.
But I definitely see him having a very successful season at Madrid. But similar to Bayern last year, I think Madrid will definitely miss having a true 9. And after seeing what Bayern have gone through, I'm going to basically apply the same things to Madrid this year. I think Madrid are still going to be very good. They're going to be top 2 for sure. But whether they win or not, it's just going to be down to like Bellingham, Rodrigo, and Vini Jr. And Champions League-wise, Madrid's not getting to the final. They're not.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so.
They
can't
can't
see a Spanish team this year.
You have to have a solid 9 to do it, and they don't. But what's interesting is, like Bayern Munich, where they waited a year to get a number 9 like Harry Kane, I think Madrid are going to do the same thing. They're not going to get anything this year, but next year they get Mbappe.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to try and be smart about it, recognize that this is just a transitionary year. They'll still get Champions League. They'll still be in Champions League. It's not really a loss from that perspective if you know what your expectations are. So that's why I'm actually kind of interested to see how Madrid do. But to kind of go back to your point, like they really are relying on their wingers. Vini Jr., after his performance last season, he's up for it. He can do it.
Yep.
But, we talked about this last season. We asked the question, when was Rodrigo going to be the starting figure for Real Madrid? And I think with Benzema's absence, Rodrigo has finally gotten the opportunity. And, bro, he's taking this chance with both hands. His performances in both games, bro, has been so good. And I think he's only going to get better with just more minutes, more reps. Like, Rodrigo's a killer, bro. We already knew that, but the fact that he's now starting, he's the basically go-to front man alongside Vinny Jr., I think Rodrigo's just going to get even better, man. So seeing those Brazilian boys up top from Madrid kind of facilitate, operate, and just go off in La Liga, I think it's going to really help them. I think it's going to really help their chemistry for next year when they do get a player like Mbappe.
Wait, okay, so then submit your vote. Where do you stand? Who wins the title this year?
Right, so it's a little confusing. This is tough. This is tough because I think similar to Manchester City, Barcelona might have a good recipe on winning La Liga. And it goes back to my point of they keep the ball a lot better than Madrid do. And eventually, they will get at least one goal. Whereas Madrid, it's more like they'll get 2 or 3 goals, but they commit so many guys forward that they definitely get caught at the back. They definitely do. So, I don't know. Does Madrid have a better defense or does Barcelona have a better game plan? That's the question. And right now, it's tough to tell,
I'm going Madrid on this one.
Yeah?
I'm going Madrid. I don't think I see them losing back-to-back years to Barcelona with guys like Vinny on their team. Like, I don't think that'd even be acceptable for them. I think this time they're going to go for it because last year I felt like they were still riding that wave of defending the Champions League trophy. I think that gave them that sort of cushion that they needed to kind of focus on that tournament more, going on to the semifinals and not really feeling that pressure of needing to win La Liga. But this time around, seeing Barcelona lift the trophy this past year, in a time that I thought Real Madrid would dominate for 5 years straight, I think Real Madrid will get back to their winning ways and find a way to dismantle this Barcelona team right now.
Yeah, I'm so close to picking Madrid as title winners for La Liga. I'm so close. But just the fact that they don't have a 9 really makes me want to pick Barcelona because Barcelona's midfield, I think, is elite within this context of Spain. Their defensive line is, good enough. Ter Stegen's probably one of the best keepers in the league. Definitely better than Lunin, probably better than Kepa if he ends up playing. And then up top, you still have good players, man. You really do. So I just think, not that Barcelona is the better team, but I think they're just a little bit more established. And the fact that they won it last year, I think they can do it again. But I think it's going to be tighter than last year. Because, dude, by December, it was over. Like last year, by December, Barcelona had won it. They had a 10-point lead. Madrid and Atletico were so far behind, it was done. But I think it's going to be a lot tighter this year. But I think I'm going to give the edge to Barcelona, just by a little.
They do have great defense. I just don't trust them to score as much as Real Madrid, honestly. I feel like there's been a lot of games. Even today, I was checking the scoreline. It was like 60 minutes in, still 0-0. Ultimately, they broke the deadlock. But I think they're going to find themselves with a lot of matches where it was 0-0, just like last year. And Lewandowski was actually in really good form. He was still able to provide those numbers. This time around, he's slightly declining. Overall, in the wing positions, I see a lot of indecision. Is Yamal going to be that guy? Is Ansu Fati going to step up? Where's Ferran Torres in this conversation? Losing Ousmane Dembele as well.
Right.
What are they going to go with? How are they going to figure out how to consistently get goals in this league? I think I trust Real Madrid a little bit more right now in terms of the league. I don't trust them in the Champions League, but in the league, in La Liga, I do think they end up winning because of that reason. So Barcelona, I do like the prospect of how close both these teams are because they're both very unsure of themselves right now. Yeah. And it's not something we usually see from these two massive clubs. Let's talk about the team that if Give and Go could sponsor them, they would. About the team that represents us at the club level. About the team that's like a bright light in what is the dark abyss of world football. Let's talk about Brighton.
I love this team, man. I love this team.
Thumping Wolves, putting them on a leash, tying them up to a tree.
Hanging them up. Fuck, man.
Wolf hunting, bro. They went hunting for wolves, and boy, did they eat good, bro. Oof. Winning 4-1. Let's talk Mitoma.
One of the prettiest goals I've ever seen. I'm talking like ever, man. Every single touch from the moment he grabbed the ball at halfway was perfect.
Yeah.
Inch perfect. An incredible display of agility, speed, ball control, handles, a little bit of flair and filth, and then the finish to boot. What a goal, bro, from Mitoma, bro. Oh, my God.
True genius is when you can make complex things look simple. And if you just watch that highlight, it can look so easy to you. Oh, he just outran 4 guys and he dribbled past them and finished. No.
No.
Do not trick yourself into believing that, my friend, because this was a true display of class and genius unlike no other. Mitoma is absolutely going to be that guy. He already proved that last season with how incredible of a year he had. But to start it off like this, dude, he's ascended. Mitoma is a new man now. He blew past those defenders like they weren't even there, dude. And the finish was so clean and so smooth. The goal of the year so far in the Prem from what we've seen 2 weeks in. And he kind of just represents the energy, the self-belief, and the chemistry that this Brighton team has as a whole, bro. Because every single one of these players, we were talking about it, is on the exact same page. They play like one unit, like one living organism, and they work together to thrive. And to do it against this Wolves team, which I still currently believe will be relegated this year, bro.
You see Everton today?
I was going to say, though, Everton is looking like a true contender. They look like they cannot be stopped this year, bro, because the relegation battle is coming for them. And Everton, good Lord, they look awful, man.
Solid championship side.
Yeah, I think I made a massive mistake in thinking they'd be able to just survive relegation. They're getting relegated, bro, alongside Wolves and Luton. Sheffield staying up, I guess.
I'd actually be okay with that. I could see that maybe.
This Wolves team is so bad, dude. Despite the names that they have, the players, the talent, I just think they lack so much cohesiveness, so much team unity. The complete opposite of what this Brighton team represents, dude. And we saw it, man. 4-1. I mean, Sully March looking incredible. Julio Enciso, probably one of my top 5 favorite players in the Prem right now. So accurate with his passing and his setups of his teammates. Getting 2 assists in this match as well. Brighton is off to an incredible start, leading the table so far after 2 games. De Zerbi looking like a genius. All in all, I'm so happy to see Brighton just pick up where they left off, despite the fact that they lost 2 of their most important players this year.
3 if you count Trossard at the halfway point of last
Sanchez
season,
too, if you want to make it 4.
Sanchez, make it 4. Make it 4, bro. Oh my God. Yeah, no, this Brighton team makes me so happy to realize that it really isn't about the players. It's about the style. And every single player that's a part of this Brighton system knows the identity that they're a part of, and they implement it fully when they're out on that pitch. There's no compromise in how they play. It's an emphasis on passing, an emphasis on teamwork. And then when you have players who dive into the technicalities of the game like Mitoma, man, then you get products like this, where Brighton, no matter what the pieces that they lose, the identity remains the same. And it's so good to see, man, because usually a team's identity is kind of stored in players.
Yes, that's what's crazy.
That's what's crazy about this, bro. So even though they lost 4 starters, the identity has remained intact. And if anything, it's just gone into players like Enciso and Mitoma even more so. Beautiful to see. Welbeck still playing incredibly well. Solly March, as you already said, getting better every single year. This Brighton team is truly an anomaly. And the reason why I watch football in general, like a team like this, not just Brighton specifically, but when a team can become this, it's why I still watch football.
But it's crazy because it shouldn't be like this. It should not be achievable, bro. Because think about it, like a proper analogy would be: imagine I leave this podcast, The Give and Go,
right,
and I get replaced with a dude with an equally receding hairline and the equally fucking passionate.
And his name is Reynoso or something.
Yeah, but he keeps the show at the same level, bro. He like steps in, he actually does a great job.
Right.
Whereas normally it'd probably be some guy that steps in and the show drops in quality. That's what's crazy about Brighton is that no matter who plays, who puts on that jersey, it's something beyond the name on the back of the jersey, bro. It's more about the team. It's more about what's said in the locker room, about what the coach is doing for them. And so I just think they knocked it out of the park with signing De Zerbi to be the head coach. Dude. That was an incredible fucking hiring. I can't believe it worked out this well post Graham Potter. And to just see them continue to do this blows my mind every single week. And I'm gonna enjoy having my mind blown every single week from here on out by this Brighton team, because maybe they compete for top 4, bro. Maybe.
I hope so, man. They've been flirting with it. I say the last 2 seasons, they'll go on these crazy runs, whether it's at the beginning or middle of the season, where they're like top 6, and they're right outside that top 4. But for them to actually compete for top 4 would be ridiculous, considering they lost 4 starters. I just don't even know if that's possible. But if they get even remotely close, my God, they'd have to go down as one of the most like well-crafted or well-thought-out clubs like ever.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they've been able to maintain this level of play is just astounding, bro. It doesn't honestly make sense.
The last game I want to talk about is a team that has not been well thought out, that has not been planning their decisions very well, that has been very questionable in the transfer market, and a team that I tried to warn you about, bro. I tried to tell you that their signings were not going to be good this year, that I was questionable, that I was hesitant as to what they were doing this summer. That team is Manchester United, man. Manchester United so far off to a very, very disappointing start, losing to a very fiery Tottenham side that beat them 2-0 at home. Mason Mount, 15 passes completed in 75 minutes. 15 passes, bro. 15 passes, bro.
I think he's out of position, though. I don't think
Well,
he's...
yes, of course he is. But my whole point is that I don't think there is a position for him at Manchester United.
Right.
They didn't need this. They didn't need him, bro.
I agree with that. I'm not disagreeing with that.
Yeah, okay. It
I
seems like you're
agree with
defending him like he's your boy or something,
No,
bro.
I'm just saying, of course he's going to play bad if he's not accustomed or even comfortable in the system.
Yeah, but I agree. That's the thing. That I feel like that was kind of my reason for being hesitant prior to the season starting and him being signed, is that I don't think I ultimately see him as the move to have been made for Manchester United, especially at a 60 million euro price tag. To spend that much amount of money on a guy that truly isn't even needed in this midfield. They try to put him in that defensive midfield pivot alongside Casemiro, which has never been his position. I think Mason Mount thrives when he's in a more attacking type of role in which he can feed, which he can distribute, and can even score goals, as we saw in his best season with Chelsea. What he's doing right now is just not productive towards a team success or even himself, man, because he went off the pitch angry at himself. Like he just couldn't figure out the puzzle that was being thrown at him. And it makes sense, man. They're asking him to do something that he cannot do. And on the flip side, a guy like Bissouma absolutely cooked him, bro. Rinsed him for 75 minutes straight and played like the Bissouma that we once saw at Brighton, but then got thrown into the dungeon by Conte for a whole year straight. Man comes out of that dungeon and balled out on this Manchester United team, bro.
I'm so happy that Bissouma's back, because I was honestly shocked that he couldn't get into this Tottenham side, like, at all. But like, we didn't see him.
Nope.
We haven't seen him in a long time. The fact that he's taking this opportunity under Postecoglou, it's so good to see. But then when you look at the contrast in a player like Mount, yeah, it's poor from Manchester United. Poor because why would you get a player like this? Why?
I just don't get it, man.
It doesn't make any sense, but it is why I don't have United going for the title, like, even remotely. Because even they're signing like Højlund, even though, yes, he's injured. He's 20. What's he going to do? Come into the Prem and score 20 goals?
Yeah.
There's no way. There's absolutely no way, especially since he didn't do the same thing in Italy. There's absolutely no way. So United really wasted a lot of money if they were trying to win the title this year or next. But that's the thing. That's why I'm not really bothered by this, because I think United have set themselves up for top 5, top 4 max finish, bro. Like, they're not going to go for the title. Yeah. That's guaranteed.
For sure.
But you're saying, what, they're going to finish like 8th, 7th?
Well, my whole take on it was that they're not making top 4. Right. I don't think this is a top 4 team.
I never think they do, but they always are.
You put them in 4th, no, in your Premier League predictions, yeah?
Because of that. Yeah. I never think they are, but they always pull it off.
But obviously, it's early. It's very early, but the signs that I'm seeing right now, how Ten Hag has approached this team so far, the same starting lineup back-to-back times, I don't know if I see so far the remedies for how this team ends up becoming a top 4 side. I think they're becoming a little too predictable. Guys like Anthony isn't really as clinical as he was advertised to be at one point.
Yeah, true. Rashford,
unless he gets hot and goes on one of his crazy season runs, doesn't provide much until he does that. And then a kid like Garnacho, who's out there trying to do his best, but still, what can you expect out of a 19-year-old kid? Bruno Fernandes is the standout, of course. Every single time, every single season for his Manchester United team has always been so great for them. But even what you ask out of him, the responsibility you give him to consistently provide the offensive opportunities that he gives, is a lot to ask out of him, man. If he's off for one game, Manchester United doesn't score, bro. And then that transcends to the rest of the midfield and the defense. I think overall, this team is kind of losing its flame that it once had at one point when they finished like second in the league. They finished, I think, in third last year?
Yeah.
They're just slightly ever so declining. And I think this year we're going to see them finally drop out of the top four and have a 4-team like Newcastle or Brighton step up in their place. Still an early prediction, but so far I'm feeling good about what I thought about this team.
Yeah, and you should, because they're both performances have not been promising whatsoever against Wolves and now against Tottenham. I don't think I'm going to say anything about United till December.
Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be my take on this. They've been poor. I agree with you. I can't even argue that. Mount was terrible today. I completely get it. But yeah, I don't think I can say anything definitive till December because, like you, I've had the same takes for the last 5 years, and they continually finish in the top 5. Maybe it ends up being 5th, 6th, and I get that wrong. But the fact that they've kept the core from last year, the fact that they've kept the coach from last year, I have somewhat confidence in them repeating the same performance of either 3rd or 4th place. That's my whole basis on it, because even though they've had 2 very poor performances, United somehow, some way, find some sort of consistency, whereas teams like Villa, Brighton don't, right? Over the course of a 38-game season. Now, what's interesting is that if last year, if you look at like United's 10 best games and Brighton's 10 best games, you actually might be able to say that Brighton had the better 10 games.
Okay.
I could definitely agree with something like that. But United somehow find a way to be very consistent in the Prem. Similar to like Manchester City, obviously on very many tiers lower. So that's why I have United still finishing in the top 4 despite 2 very abysmal performances. But look, I'll be very open to changing my mind or admitting defeat come like December if this downward trend continues.
Now for Tottenham, I think it's very exciting, man. It's very fun.
Dude.
This team is probably one of the most likable and fun teams to root for that they've had in a good number of years. Do I think they're like a top 3, top 4 side? I don't think the heights this team can reach are as high as past Tottenham teams that we've seen. But in terms of just what a fan would want out of this squad and how a team plays and the chemistry and the style of play that's being approached, I think Tottenham is onto something really cool here, something very, very appealing for once, bro, especially with a guy like James Maddison, who I highlighted in the transfer window market. I absolutely love this signing, bro. I love what he does for this team. I love the responsibility they've given him. So many times I saw him receive the ball in his own third, carry the ball out, get past a guy or two, and then sling the ball out so they can push the offense forward. And then a guy like Heung-min Son receiving the captain's armband, it's nice to see because he really seems to kind of step up to that and be the guy to lead what is a pretty young Tottenham side now. Yeah. We're seeing a lot of different pieces in this team come together to form what I believe to be a very intriguing squad. If you're a Tottenham fan, this must feel like a breath of fresh air for once after seeing how long they committed to the Harry Kane project. Harry Kane leaves, goes to Bayern. Now you have a team that's open to any new possibilities, bro. Like a dude post breakup is what this team feels like. And Postecoglou might be that guy, man. He might be the dude to guide this team into the new era, and maybe 2-3 years from now they can compete for a title or be a very, very strong team in the Prem. For now, they'll be fun to watch. I'm excited for them, and I like to see how all these moves have so far paid out.
Tottenham have had 2 very good performances. I know they got a draw, I believe, in their first match, but I think the identity that Postecoglou is creating looks so promising, man, because I think one word that I'll use, and you kind of already alluded to it, they seem so much more proactive. Like whether it's off the ball and they have a very high line, eager to get the ball back. I haven't really seen that from a Tottenham side, be that active defensively. And then when you look at the players that they have, Pedro Porro's come into the side last year, cementing himself as a starting right back. And I think having that experience now going into this squad under Postecoglou, I think he has a lot better understanding of the skill that he has at display. He can go up and down that flank. But you can say that about so many other Tottenham players where offensively they look so much more fluid or open to the idea of just being creative and maybe not relying on a player like Kane. So in a weird way, I think Kane's absence has actually opened them up. But what's interesting is that I thought it would do the opposite. I thought it would actually make them kind of close up and not be as creative because they wouldn't have the mentality of like, oh, who do we go to for goals? But, you know, when you honestly look at the squad, they still have Kulusevski, Richarlison, hopefully can actually find better form than he did last year with Kane's absence. And maybe he's playing more in his position, natural position now with Kane gone. And then you have obviously James Maddison right underneath Richarlison, Heung-min Son, Kulusevski, as I already said, like, I think there's a lot of creativity and a lot of fluidity that Tottenham now have that maybe they haven't had in years prior. So Tottenham got something interesting going on. I don't think they'll figure it fully out this year, but if they have a good season this year, Postecoglou keeps his job and they get maybe another offensive piece next year, hey, maybe we're talking Champions League very soon.
I do know for one thing, I said it in the Premier League predictions, and I'll say it now. They're finishing on top of Chelsea, bro.
Oh, yeah. Which is so disappointing if you're Chelsea, bro. So if you're a true Chelsea fan, man,
it's so far.
It's
early, bro. It's so early. And I love getting carried away, but it's early, bro.
It's early, but good Lord, does it look so different. Tottenham, Chelsea.
All right, I want to do something real quick for the Give and Go boys. Just a little something.
What do you got there?
If you've been following the show, you know that we got Reynoso the reindeer.
Let's go.
Reindeer.
Hey, celebrating my Spain prediction, bro.
Hey, yeah, celebrate that shit.
And we got El Pulpo Soltero the octopus.
Holy shit.
We can't, man. Reynoso the reindeer, bro. Reynoso the reindeer, man. Coming off my big Spain wins the World Cup prediction.
He's two-faced. Argentina, Atleti.